Run is 10.
Landing a man on the moon.
8,
Returning
7,
Hey, and I feel fine.
made engine start.
Right away, here, sir.
Right, just like a professional.
The adventure began with a fitting at the Marshall Space Flight Center's Neutral Buoyancy Simulator, or NBS tank. The NBS tank looks like a 40-foot deep swimming pool, but it's really a test tank that simulates a weightless environment for Marshall engineers and some astronauts.
The dexterity is really great.
I don't know. They're headed that way.
I thought you'd have a problem with something this big and heavy on your hands.
Training to be an astronaut isn't easy work. There's a lot of preparation, and before I could put on this spacesuit, I had to undergo rigorous training. I was given the same physical fighter pilots have to take. Blood test, eye exams, the works. Then NASA instructors gave me homework, because knowing the effects of air pressure on the body above and below sea level can save your life.
Okay, I'm going to start pressurizing the suit. I'm going to go real slow. If you have any problems at all, if you tell me, I can stop.
NASA wants their astronauts in top physical condition. They also have to be certified scuba divers, which takes several weeks of classroom and diving instruction. Once I pass the scuba test, then comes the toughest part, but the most fun, maneuvering with the spacesuit on.
Showtime.
Here we go.
Once underwater, I can see replica parts of the shuttle cargo bay and parts of the International Space Station. They're used by engineers and some astronauts to train on. So now I'll get to do what they do every day. I was handed a tool and told to go to work. After a period of time, the ratchet I was using malfunctioned.
If I were working on the space station, thousands of miles from home, what would I do if my ratchet went bad?
You take extra tools with you.
Extra tools.
Right.
Astronauts use power tools, but also train without them, just in case of power outages. It's real knuckle-busting work.
These gloves can work on your hands a little bit. I'm going to probably have some blisters.
Just moving around in the spacesuit takes a lot of skill. Astronauts have to attach themselves by tethers to keep from being lost in space.
Uh-oh.
Yep, you don't want to let go.
Now I have to attach myself to the end of this crane-like arm. It's not the easiest thing to do because you can't bend over and see your feet in a spacesuit. The spacesuit's boots have to snap exactly into place.
You're in.
I'm in. Get out of here.
Nice job.
This is as close to being an astronaut than any television reporter could imagine, even with all the safety divers hanging around.
This is really cool stuff.
It was an incredible opportunity I will never forget. I only know of one way to describe it. It's like you're dreaming of flying, only you're wide awake. The experience can be really a shock to your body and your brain. So sit back. I'm going to take you on the ride of your life in tonight's special report, Assignment Astronaut.
man on the moon. Returning
7,
And I feel fine.
made engine start.
Right away, here, sir.
Astronauts train on it. NASA engineers do research on it. Even birds try to fly on it. This cargo plane, called the KC-135, is NASA's training ground for weightlessness. It's NASA's inexpensive way of doing tests in zero gravity without going into orbit. This is the hangar where they keep the KC-135, or the infamous Vomit Comet. Hollywood stars have actually filmed on it. It's the closest thing to being there. In outer space, that is. I went for my thrill-of-a-lifetime ride aboard the KC-135 in Houston, Texas last month. We left the Johnson Space Center, our destination 6 miles above the Gulf of Mexico. The plane travels like a roller coaster. Zero gravity occurs when the plane peaks and falls for 30 seconds. You may have felt the sensation if you've ever ridden a roller coaster or space shot at the Space and Rocket Center. On the KC-135, everything is bolted down, tied down, or stuck to Velcro. If not, it'll float away. What looked like Hollywood magic in the movie Apollo 13 really wasn't. Film crews and actors spent hours aboard the KC-135 to simulate weightlessness in outer space. If they could do it, so could I.
Oh, this is incredible.
Now, all I had to do was master the queasy feeling in my stomach.
Houston, we have a problem.
Many passengers get violently ill. I didn't take the motion sickness pills, and fortunately, I didn't get sick. But this man did. You can see him sitting on the floor in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. He was sick for the entire 2-hour ride. He was one of nearly 70 engineering students from colleges around the United States, including the University of Alabama in Huntsville. They were on board performing experiments. Zero gravity. It's an out-of-this-world experience. This UAH student, who seems to be having a lot of fun, tried to describe what it's like being weightless.
Well, you know when you're on a roller coaster and as soon as you take the plunge, your heart goes up in your stomach, or your stomach goes up in your heart, you just feel kind of sick? Well, it feels like that every time.
Now, for shock number 2. The plane bottoms out of its dive, making your body weight double. It's called G-force. Passengers are warned not to walk around. If so, they risk serious injury. After 30-second bouts with weightlessness for over 2 hours, it was time to return to Earth. For the people who got sick, they wanted to get back on the ground. But for the people who experienced the ride without problems, it was a mission accomplished.
Assignment Astronaut was an incredible experience. I got the chance to wear a spacesuit and be weightless, but there's only one assignment that would top this one. That's getting a seat on a space shuttle. Believe it or not, it's not impossible. NASA is sending civilian scientists into space these days, and more people like you and me could be headed to space in the future. Tomorrow night, I'll show you how microgravity research is changing the way NASA does business.